Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to this small recital. I hope that next time we see each other actually is in live, in real, in person, and that this festival next year happens in person. It will be really nice to see you all. I am going to sing a number of Sephardic songs, but also New Mexican songs. And I am trying to connect their stories and their melodies, and we'll see how many of these stories and melodies actually travel from country to country. There will be some seriousness and there will be lots of silliness as well. So I hope you enjoy it. At the end, when we finish, there will be a little time for questions and answers. So if you come up with a question, take a little note and we will talk a little later. So as you may know, the traditional music of New Mexico is really wide and really interesting. There is a particular set of melodies called alabados that you may have heard about. There are very nice melodies that are used, usually related to rummagages and other more or less religious events. Several years ago I was approached by the Sephardic group in Albuquerque and asked point blank, what do I think the music of the Sephardim sounded when they got to New Mexico? And of course there is very little that we can elucubrate about that, and there's no documentation. However, I think that there are melodies that speak to your soul, and the melodies of your place, the melodies of your land, speak particularly. So I took on myself to take some of these alabado melodies and make a contrafactum. A contrafactum is nothing else but an adaptation. So I take a melody and I put a different lyric on top of the melody. And it's something that the Jewish tradition has been doing for centuries, and it's still doing now. The first one I am going to sing for you is from a traditional melody called Bendito sea Dios. And in this case I saved part of the Spanish lyrics because it makes sense. And I adapted the rest to Shalom Aleichem, which is a hymn that we sing to welcome the Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei, Malachei Elyon, Another of these melodies is alaru. Alaru is a traditional Avalo music intended as a lullaby. And I thought that it was really beautiful, and I adapted it to another hymn we sing on Shabbat in the evening, Friday night, called Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kahala b'nei Shabbat nekabla Shamor ve'zachor v'diburecha ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad v'shemo Finally, this last one is called La Encomendación del Alma, and it's very sumptuous, very ceremonial, but also very deep in meaning to me. I thought that the idea of encomendación, of farewell, matched very well the lyrics of Adon Olam, which is one of the prayers that we sing when we close the services. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem kol Yetzir Le'enasa V'chefso kol Azai melech Shemo nikra Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Umevorach, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, This series of songs is pretty fun and somehow bizarre. The story is about Don Gato, Mr. Cat, and Mr. Cat is hanging out, sitting on his roof, and then he receives a letter or receives the visitation of somebody saying, hey, I heard that such and such a beautiful female cat wants to marry you. And then the cat gets so excited about that in its excitement he actually falls down the roof and dies. Boom, poor cat. Luckily, cats have more than one life, as we all know. So whenever they take the cat to be buried, they pass through the market, and just the smell of the sardines brings the cat to life. So this song, this little history, this little story has many incarnations in different countries and in different folklores. First of all, I'm going to sing one that is in Ladino, and it was sung by Floria Benjo. The funny thing about this Moroccan melody is that it is set to the Kinot of Tisha B'Av, which are a dirge that we sing in a very plaintive kind of way. So the idea was to tell the children that when they got bored of singing the sad melodies of the holiday, that they could sing the same melody but to Don Gato lyrics. But it was forbidden to laugh about it. Estaba el señor Don Gato sentadito en su tejado con la mano en la cintura y la otra en el costado. Por allí pasó una gata con los ojos relumbrándolo un gato. Por darle un beso se cayó de su tejado. Mandaron por los doctores de cirujano, uno le mira la pierna, otro le mira el costado. Señor gato está muy malo, señor gato está muy muerto. Ya lo llevan a enterrar a la puerta del pescado. Al olor de la sardina, Don Gato ha resucitado. ¡Jai, jai, jai! Don Gato ha resucitado. Pues estaba el señor Don Gato sentadito en su tejado, miau, 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 sentadito en su tejado, ha recibido una carta, si quería ser casado, miau, 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 si quería ser casado con una gatita blanca, sobrina de un pato pardo, miau, 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 sobrina de un gato pardo. Al recibir la noticia, el gato ha resucitado, miau, 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 el gato ha resucitado. Ya lo llevan a enterrar tras la puerta del mercado, miau, 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 tras la puerta del mercado. Y al olor de la sardina, el gato ha resucitado, miau, 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 el gato ha resucitado. So we're closing this story about cats with another very interesting version, which is the New Mexico version. Here you will see that there are some details that actually have a little political nuance, because the cat in a way represents the viceroy and the power, the colonial power. Estaba el señor Don Gato sentado en su silla de oro, gastando medias de seda y zapato colorado. harto abrazo. Mandaron por el doctor Don Ventura Lobato, y a las 4 en la mañana ya era difunto el gato. Los ratones de alegría se visten de colorado, y los gatitos chiquitos se llenan desconsolados. Miau, miau. The next little collection of songs is actually not much of a story, but rather a cycle. It's one of those songs that you sing in order to remember things. It enumerates the hours of the day and links it with life cycle events. A la una yo nací, a las 2 me engrandecí, a las 3 tenía amante y a las 4 me casé. A las 2 tenía amante y a las 4 me casé. Dime, niña, de quién eres, que te quiero conocer, y si no tienes amante, yo te haré defender. Y si no tienes amante, yo te haré defender. Yéndome para la guerra, 2 besos al aire di, el uno es para mi madre y el otro para ti. El uno es para mi madre y el otro para ti. When we get to the Southwest, as you know, it is much more vital and much more joyful, so this reflects very well in the New Mexican version. A la 1 yo nací, a las 2 me bautizaron, a las 3 tuve una novia y a las 4 me casaron. A las 5 yo vi a mi suegra, a las 6 se me enfermó, a las 7 tiró la vuelta y mi suegro la sembró. A las 9 tuvo luto, a las 10 me lo quité, a las 11 me fui al baile y hasta las 12 yo gocé. Viva la media naranja, viva la naranja entera, viva la media naranja, caramba, que va por la carretera. Viva la media naranja, viva la naranja entera, viva la media naranja, caramba, que va por la carretera. Una yo nací, a las 2 me bautizaron, a las 3 tuve una novia y a las 4 me casaron. A las 5 yo vi a mi suegra, a las 6 se me enfermó, a las 7 tiró la vuelta y mi suegro la plantó. A las 9 tuve luto, a las 10 me lo quité, a las 11 me fui a baile y a las 12 yo gocé. Viva la media naranja, viva la naranja entera, viva la media naranja, caramba, que va por la carretera. Viva la media naranja, viva la naranja entera, viva la media naranja, caramba, que va por la carretera. This group of songs is called Las Señas del Esposo, or The Return of the Husband. A number of these songs I learned from ethnomusicologist Judith Cohen, a very good friend. So this is how the story goes. A young lady is all sad because her husband is gone to the war. Now she's trying to find out whatever happened to the guy, and suddenly she encounters this young soldier, very handsome one, who between us is no other than her husband, but after the years he has changed so much she doesn't recognize him at all. Now the guy is kind of a moron between you and me, and perhaps he's trying to check how faithful the girl is, so he comes up with this crazy story. He tells her that he is not the husband, but a friend of the husband, and the husband is actually dead. And in the deathbed, he asked him, the friend, to marry the wife. To make the story short, she says, "Oh, no way, I'll be faithful forever." And then he says, "Come on, it's me." And you realize. So they live happily ever after. Fear you made all in a garden. Strange your man compass her by. Say fair maid, will you marry me? This kind sir was her reply. Oh no, kind sir, I cannot marry thee, for I've a love who sails along the sea. It's been gone for 7 years, still no man shall marry me. But what if it's in some battle slain, or drowned in the deep salt sea? What if he's found another love, and is his love both married be? Escuche, señor soldado, si de las guerras venís, de las guerras, mi señora, de las guerras del inglés. Si has visto al mi marido por ventura alguna vez, dame la señal, señora, que le pueda conocer. Mi marido es alto y rubio, alto como la ciprés. Lleva las medias de seda y zapatito de baile. Este hombre que usted dice muerto es ya más de un mes, y en su testamento dice que me casé con usted. No lo quiera el Dios del cielo, ni lo quiera yo también. 7 años he esperado y otros 7 esperaré. The New Mexican version of the same story is much more fun, because after the whole story happens and she realizes that the husband may be dead, instead of going all ascetic and waiting forever, she decides, hey, I'm going to become a nun. She may be a sister, but yet she is very elegant. She says, look at the mirror and says, hey, I don't look half bad for a widow anyway.
Yo soy la recién casada que lloraba sin cesar. Me abandonó mi marido por amar la libertad. Mi marido es artesano, tiene el habla muy cortés y en la falda del sombrero trae un letrero en francés por las señas que usted ha dado. Su marido muerto es. En la ciudad de Varela lo mató un traidor francés. 2 hijos que Dios me ha dado, conmigo les llevaré, pa' que rueguen por su padre y por su madre también. 10 años que lo ha guardado, 20 que lo aguardaré. Si a los 30 años no viene de monja, me meteré. Me echo mi mantona negra y mi listón colorado. No más me arrimo al espejo, qué buena viuda me he quedado. No más me arrimo al espejo, qué buena viuda me he quedado.
So a king falls in love with his own daughter, Ai. So one day, over the dinner, he tells her, you are going to be my wife. Delgadina, the skinny one, obviously says no, no way. So the king decides to lock her out, either in a tower or in other versions in a room, a square room particularly. But in any case, with no food or water. So days go by and Delgadina tries to call on her mom, on her sister, siblings, to bring her some water before she dies. Obviously, the children, either they are very ill-intentioned, or the mom, either they are very bad-intentioned, or they are afraid of the father, but they don't give her the water, so the Delgadina actually dies at the end.
Un rey tenía 3 hijas, todas 3 eran hermosas. La más chiquita de ellas, Delgadina se llamaba. Un día de los días, por allí pasó su hermana. Mi querida, dame un poquito de agua, que de sed y no de hambre, al Dios yo voy a dar mi alma. Callada Delgadina, si el Baba sabe esto, los cabellos sos matada. Tres filles tenia un rei, totes tres com una plata. La més petita de totes del Darita se llamava. Son pare l'està diciendo si vol ser la seva imada. No pot ser mon pare rei que la llei de Déu no mana. Del Darita, d'això seràs castigada. Te'n faré fer una torre i allà t'estaràs tancada. Delgadina se paseaba por su sala muy cuadrada con su mantoncito de oro que no más le alumbraba. Delgadina, hija mía, quiero que seas mi dama, no lo permita el Señor y la Virgen soberana. Todos mis criados encierren a Delgadina, ciérrenle todas las puertas, también la de la cocina. Otro día su hermanito, otro día le fue a ver. Jesucito, hermano mío, voy a pedirte merced. Delgadina, hermana mía, yo no te puedo dar agua porque no quisiste hacer lo que mi padre mandaba. Papacito de mi vida, voy a pedirte merced. Regálame un vaso de agua que ya me muero de sed. Júntense todos mis criados, llévenle agua a Delgadina, unos en copa de plata y otros en tazas de China. Cuando le llevaron agua, Delgadina estaba muerta con sus ojitos cerrados y su boquita abierta. La cama de Delgadina de ángeles está rodeada, la cama de su papá de diablos apretada. Delgadina está en el cielo dando cuenta al Creador y su papá en el infierno lo tiene el diablo mayor.
So here the story goes that the princess, who is single and lives with the dad, the king, in a palace, falls in love with a servant of the king named Herineldo. This guy is very handsome, of course, so one day the princess goes to Herineldo and says, "How about we spend the night together?" Herineldo, of course, is happily compliant with that, and he shows up right at midnight in order to be with the princess. And what happens, as you know. So the king, who probably is suspicious, wakes up in the middle of the night and goes directly to ask about Herineldo. Where is Herineldo? How come he's not here? So a friend of Herineldo, who is of course knows it all, says, "Oh, he is just sick in bed." However, the king goes to the princess' room and finds them there, but he doesn't say a word. And then he elucubrates and thinks, "If I kill Herineldo, I lose my best servant. If I kill my daughter, then I lose any possibility of having descendants to pass the throne to. So what I'll do is I'll put the sword just in the middle of them, and then when they wake up, they will discover that I've been here. So it's a pretty nice story, and usually at the end love wins and everybody gets happily married and all that. So for most of them I am just going to sing a little piece here and there, and then for the New Mexican one I'll go more in detail.
Gerineldo, Gerineldo, mi caballero pulido, ¿quién te diera esta noche 3 horas a mi servicio? Como soy vuestro criado, señora, burláis conmigo. Yo no buldo, Gerineldo, que de veras te lo digo. Gerineldo, Gerineldo, mi camarero aguerrido, ¿quién te pescará esta noche? 3 horas a mi servicio. Pues 3 horas, mi señora, como 3 que fueran 5, puesto que soy vuestro criado, ¿quiere usted burlar conmigo? No, Gerineldo, de mi alma, que de veras te lo digo. Pues a qué horas, mi señora, cumpliréis lo prometido. ¿A las 12 de la noche, cuando el rey esté dormido? Las 12 no habían dado, Gerineldo ya ha venido. Hay un castillo cerrado, pegó su voz y un suspiro, que alevoso, que atrevido, a mi castillo ha venido. Señora, soy Gerineldo, que vengo a lo prometido, ya lo agarra de la mano, para adentro lo ha metido. Ahí va de los deleites, ya se han quedado dormidos, dándose besos y abrazos como mujer y marido. A la 1 de la mañana ya pide el rey sus vestidos, ya va un paje y se los da, que Gerineldo es amigo. ¿Dónde se halla Gerineldo, mi caballero aguerrido? Pues señor, se halla en la cama con calenturas y frío. Ya toma el rey su espada, para el castillo venido, ya encuentra la puerta abierta, para adentro se ha metido, los halla boca con boca como mujer y marido. Vuelve los ojos atrás y de esta manera dijo: si mato a mi Gerineldo, pues él se crió conmigo. Si mato a mi hija la infanta, queda mi reino perdido. Pondré la espada por medio, que sepa que son sentidos. Cerca de la mañanita ya pide el rey sus vestidos, ya Gerineldo llegó como siempre había ido. Gerineldo, Gerineldo, mi camarero aguerrido, ¿dónde la noche has pasado? ¿Dónde la noche has dormido? Señor, jugando a los dados, ni he ganado ni he perdido. Mucho disimulo es ese, Gerineldo, a lo que he visto, hinca la rodilla en tierra y de esta manera ha dicho: Señor, yo seré la carne, vuestro merced el cuchillo, por tenedor me quisiera, de mí no quedo dolido. Gerineldo, Gerineldo, mi camarero aguerrido, me dice la hija infanta, que te escoge por marido. Se levanta Gerineldo, pegando saltos y brincos, de ver que se va a casar con la hija de Carlos V. So, in case you thought that all Sephardic songs are about
this kind of kings and princesses and romanzas and all that, and the fact that they depict the woman as this very ethereal and not very embodied person. I want to bring two different songs that are quite body positive on one hand and a little bit body if you want. They are very euphemistic.
A Sara la preta, le cayó la teta, busca, busca y no la tocó. Le dijo la vecina que barra la cocina, que comites pan y cascaval. La 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 de una alzaba si vieras que gial se emprendó en las ochavas dice ven Jolita te matecharé me vaya yo capara por ti de una mano ni se la llevó y con fuerza empezó a matecharla. Los gritos de Jolita se oyeron en la tefila. Nisim, Nisim, ven nos matecharemos, ven mi candil, sé que te gustará.
Once again, thank you so much for coming. It's been such a pleasure, and it is hard not to see you and see you participate and see you smiling. But it is always very nice to know that you are on the other side of this recording, of this camera. As you can figure out, this little recital was recorded, but luckily the question and answers time is live, like super live. So I'll see you just in a minute, and I'll probably even change all my clothes.